So welcome guys to Wrestle Designs, the channel that brings you Mark II, Mark III content, as well as now it starts to bring you Mark IV content. I've just bought myself a Mark IV daily. It's a wagon, an estate, a variant, whichever way you want to call it. I'm going to badge it all three at the moment until I settle on one. But anyway, I've had the car for a few days now and there's loads of things that are broken on it. It's broken, it's broken, it's broken, 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 it's broken, it's broken. Guess what? It's broken, it's broken, 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 and need to be fixed on it. So I've got a long list. So let me show you guys what this long list is. Okay, so the tailgate doesn't stay up. It's broken. Partial shelf. Oh, it's broken. Fuse box. It's broken. Passenger side window. Broken. The glove box. It's broken. The central console. Broken. The gear sticks around. Guess what? It's broken. The engine cover. It's broken. The airbox and the snorkel. Broken. The bonnet stand. Broken. Oh, yeah, look at that. Broken. Screen wash jet, another thing that is broken. Rain tray is broken. Okay, so less of the it's broken and more of the fixing. So let's get on with fixing some of these issues. Okay, so I've taken the struts off the rear of the Mark IV. Yep, when you see them side by side, look at the shock difference. I think someone's actually fitted two new bonnet ones onto the tailgate. That's why it wasn't holding the weight. So these chrome ones are doing the job. Just with one of them already, seems to be holding it up quite easily. So now I'm just gonna replace this other one. These look new, and actually I'll put one of these new ones on the bonnet, so that actually the bonnet's got a new one as well. In that case, it stays up by itself, as well as it looks a lot better. So that's sorted. Okay, so that's the bonnet one done. That's the old one off. And there's only one place for the old one. Rubbish. So that's two off the list. While I'm here actually, I might as well address this airbox which is loose. And I can see there's nothing holding it down there, and also the snorkel is broken as well. It's come off and is rattling around. So snorkel off the other Golf. I might as well just fit that in there. While I'm in the area, I might as well just change this with the one that I took off the other Golf. I'm gonna have to give that a clean. I can't see that dirty like that underneath. So actually a quick tip here, performance tip, if you have a 115. So as I removed the snorkel because it was broken, and I removed the one off the 130, I noticed, one, the part numbers are different. This one ends in 609B. So the 131, and assuming the 151 is the same, ends in 609L. So the part numbers are different, but also if I can get them to behave themselves, you can tell there's actually quite a lot of difference here to there. I mean, so you guys can get a true feeling, a true sense, sorry, of size difference all the way along, not just at the end as well. So that's cool. So I've actually got the 115 box standard to the car to the 150/131. Obviously the math is different, so the top box is different. The only reason I've got this here is because, see, the rubber there is actually all come away. That holds the snorkel in place. And this one isn't. So for the moment, I'll just take off the top box and swap the top bottoms and actually put that on before I give that a clean. Yeah, that's really quite dirty. Hold on, what's this? Looks like a coat hanger was left there that I don't need. Anything else I don't need down here that shouldn't be here? What's this? Oh, so it's like a little grommet, or maybe that's the grommet from the airbox actually. The airbox broken, this grommet. Yeah, it is actually. Okay, so I took the engine cover off. It looks like Frankenstein's monster here, with glue on here. But I found something that's actually quite poignant and quite funny. Okay, so the timing belt was done in 2018 on the 27th of the 1st, 2018 at 204,000, and it's on 238. So in theory, I shouldn't have to worry about the timing belt snapping on this one until I put the other engine in, or until I actually do something with this engine. So I can rest easy. I'm not going to snap another timing belt. Okay, let's get that new engine cover on. Okay, so the next job in here, what I've also noticed is that the car doesn't seem to get up to temperature, as well as it seems to smoke a little bit. The consumption is quite bad. It takes ages to get to 90. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So obviously these are quite known for the thermostat to go in them. But also I've checked the live data, and even though the clocks inside are showing maybe 90 or 80 even, the actually live data, the coolant temperature switch is also showing like 70 and 60. So I think they're both not working. So I'm going to replace both of those. So I'm just going to quickly just run how I do it on this. So the first thing you really need is one of these little bolts. It's like a little pin almost, sorry, and that's to hold the tensioner in place. So with a 60mm spanner, you're able to, as you can see, it kind of just feeds through, and then with the spanner you just pull it back and it just locks into place, so that then you can take the tension off the tensioner basically. There you go, like that. You see, it just kind of stays in. Perfect. So now the belt is actually slack, and the reason why I do that is because I take off this top bolt here and I'll lever the alternator out the way to give me more space to get to the bottom bolt. And the top one also is tricky, putting the thermostat in and putting the bolts in with the sealing. And also I'm going to take off this little ball, which is the vacuum accumulator thing, so I'm going to remove that as well to give you more space. Things out of the way like that. The vacuum dome, move this coolant pipe out of the way, and took the dipstick guide off as well. I've just blocked it up with some paper. Now took off this top bolt off the alternator and left it forward as far as it can go, so as you can see it gives a bit more space. But then also a little trick that I do, I get an 18mm socket with some washers and an M8 or otherwise a 13, because what happens is this slider slides in here, and to try and then push it back in, it's going to be an absolute mission. So by doing it this way, you can actually, I'll show you quickly, you'll be able to tighten it up, and it will pull the slider back this way, so then you can actually, when you go to put it back on again, it just makes life a lot easier. So you just tighten it up. It doesn't take a lot of force actually, and it'll start to, you see it's starting to get smaller. Then you'd have to go nuts, just enough so that it can actually clear. Perfect. It just will make your life so much more easier when you go to put it back on again. So the new thermostat's in place. Also I've noticed that the antifreeze was kind of green, which is the wrong type. So I've taken as much as I can out of, I've also drained it out of the radiator for that little drain screw at the bottom. So now I'm just going to fit this flange back in, tighten that up, and put some G12, the red stuff, in there. Also this vacuum sphere was actually loose. There's like a little 8mm, so it's rattling around, so I just tightened that up because I can't have that rattling around, that do my head in. Also the EGR, actually I just took the EGR pipe, vacuum pipe off, and just put a screw in it, so it kind of does an EGR delete. And I'll show you what I mean by just lifting it up. It just makes life so much more easier. You can just literally, see if I can pull it back. There we go. Whereas if that was in the way, you'd struggle to get that in. And the bolt is here. Yep, that's it. Just tighten this up. Put the coolant in it, bleed it through. And once that's done, obviously I'm going to have to give this a jet wash. I can't just put the cover back on it now. It's going to give this area a jet wash, at least it's a bit cleaner. All of this, I got sidetracked why I actually came here in the first place, and it was to disconnect the earth so I could do the seats, which for me I suppose is the most important, is the bit that I interact with, which is obviously the seats and the steering wheel of the car. But I can't wait to actually put these higher spec seats in here. All right, let me start stripping this down. With the front seats, started to disconnect these two 13s that are just here quite easy. I noticed one of them is not original. I can't have that, so I've just got some spare original ones that I took off the other Golf. And also, before you do any airbag, so the seats or the steering wheel airbag, I would always recommend you always disconnecting at least the earth terminal. Okay guys, so you can see the difference, what I was saying about what unfortunately I call the poverty spec, and the middle of the road, kind of the medium spec seats, because obviously after these ones you have the Recaros, which are the top of the range ones. The bolsters are a lot deeper, and also it shows you the difference between what the sun has done to the material. This is a lot darker than that is already, and also it feels a lot quite rough there, where this is still quite soft. So I can't wait to get these in and actually sit in a more comfortable seat that's hopefully a little bit less smelly as well. This is the base of what comes off the smuggler's car, and this is the base that's in the wagon. Obviously you can see the style is, it's actually got like these cuts in here and stuff, which is pretty cool, but unfortunately they're not the same. This doesn't fit, so it's a totally different system on here, and that's metal as well. So obviously for the wagon it's got a different style, so I'm not going to be able to fit the base, unfortunately. Now I'm going to remove this back, the small one, and hopefully I might be able to get the back on at least. Okay, so it looks like the backs will fit, so let me just take off this back one. I've given this a hoover down here. Oh yeah, look at that, another nice little gem to find. Someone's tried to actually glue that on. Can I still pull it? Yeah, still pulls. Okay, at least I'll get that off anyway. This is going to be sold. I'll just make them aware it works, it's just that the clip's broken on it. Terrible. Okay, well at least I'm getting rid of these anyway. Alright, let's remove this back bit then. So yep, so that's all the seats done. They don't look too bad on the rear actually. Can't really tell the difference between the backs being the more bucket ones and the more flatter bases. I mean, I've tried to actually see if I could actually take off the sponge and the covers, but the base is so different that the way it kind of goes on is going to look quite bad, and I suppose in the end the back bit is the bit they actually need a little bit of support. It looks quite cool as well. And that's all, the front's all done, so now I can just literally just move on to getting the steering wheel done. Dying to get rid of this steering wheel as well, with this plastic thing, and it gets so hot because it's plastic. It's terrible. Okay, let me just take this off with the special VW tools. I guess it goes without saying, so take the airbag off. I'll show you guys how to do it. What I've done is I'll just muller this this steering wheel because it's rubbish anyway, so you can show you how the springs work. But also another thing that's pretty obvious, but I might miss some people, make sure the steering wheel is 100% straight, so that when you take it off you put the new one on, it's in the same position. Don't touch this and move this because it's actually got like it's like a set kind of thing in there, and you just make sure you put it in the middle again. There we go, that's it. Then just plug in the airbag connector, which are all the same. Put the nut in the middle with some fresh Loctite. Make sure it's nice and tight. And that's it, just plug the airbag in. Bob's your uncle. What to do is just give it a good push, you'll hear it click in. A bit of force, but it clipped in. That's all good. So now we can connect the battery back up, and hopefully the airbag light won't be on, or any of these airbags won't explode. Right, so moment of truth. The steering wheel looks a lot better already. Turn the ignition on. Airbag lights on, should switch off. Yep, and it has. Oh, and it hasn't exploded in my face. That's a bonus. It hasn't exploded. The steering wheel, everything, it just feels a lot more, and the seating, it feels like a totally different car. It feels a lot better. Well happy. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. Right, so another thing that was bugging me is every time I came into the car, the mirror was moving, and I've noticed it's very slack. So I think it's kind of maybe lost its tension a little bit, as well as, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to make out, probably not. It's kind of faded and eaten, so I'm going to take the one off, take this off, which I think is just twist it to the right. Wow, it's so hot. You would not believe how hot this is, and it's a cold day today at 25 or 26 degrees, but it's so hot. Yeah, as you can see, look, there's like a little bit broken here compared to the one off the smuggler's car. So that's why it was a little bit loose, as well as hopefully here now you can kind of see some of the burnt bits on the mirror. So it doesn't look, this looks quite unsightly. So again, put this much better condition non-burnt mirror on. Okay, much better, definitely a lot more stiffer as well, so hopefully I won't move now. You know, I've done a few repairs already on the wagon, and I feel like I need to treat myself with some more cosmetic upgrades or just some upgrades. So I'm going to take these off, give them a clean, take off all the Spanish flies off them, and so they can be fresh with Portuguese flies on them. Okay, so I've given them a quick jet wash and taken the majority of the Spanish flies off, so they're all ready and primed to receive the Portuguese flies. And also, I think those will definitely contrast on the silver a lot more, and actually will I think look even better. I mean, they're not my favorite kind of thing. I do like OEM stuff, but I think these actually look quite good, and also they're basically free with the Smuggler's Mark IV Golf, so I'm just going to put them on there. I think it'll look quite cool. So let's see what kind of nasties or surprises awaits me when I take this front bumper off, and what's going on behind here. Start by taking off the grille, just clipping it off. It's really quite easy, and just normally you can take this off, but I just kind of lift it up and take it out the way and stuff, so you can kind of get to it and stuff. Well, look, that's broken. Surprise, surprise. What's that? Oh my god, I think that's like a dead bird in the grille. Yeah, that is. Shit. Ah, well, there you go. Didn't take long to get a surprise. Let me see if I can scoop that out. Start taking off these 5 Torxes on here, and then take the grills off and do the same. There's 2 under there as well, and then there should be a couple, if they're in there, should be about 3 little T20s on both sides on the mud guards, holding them onto the bumper, and then I can actually take these headlights off. Right, so the headlights are off. They're original. Some of these bits are not. I can see already that's broken on there. This is also broken on here. The chassis leg doesn't look straight here. Looks like it's kind of curved in slightly, maybe, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see when I put the other front panel on. I mean, crash bar on. This side here has got some dodgy welding with a nut being welded on there. And again, it's kind of facing inwards slightly. And this is kind of pulled out a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see actually when I put I'm actually going to take this, because this actually doesn't look like it's original either, this front panel. So I'm going to fit the front panel and all the front end off the smuggler's car, because that's all OE. And it'll be interesting to see how it lands up at that point. If I need to actually pull the chassis leg, then I will actually pull the chassis leg. I'll put something in between and jack it and just pull them apart slightly so it all lands up, if that comes to the worst of it. As well as I can see a little dodgy repair here. I've got a good wing to fit on this side, so obviously someone's just tried to repair this wing and it doesn't match the headlight properly. So while I'm getting the front bumper done, I might as well just get the wing sprayed. The bonnet's not great either, so I'll get the bonnet redone as well. So it isn't as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a lot worse, if I'm honest. Also, I've noticed I've only got one horn, because you've got a high tone and low tone. Not that I've used the horn actually, but that's obviously why it's missing. So let me just go and get one from the smuggler's car, bolt it in, and also fix these connectors as well. Right, so give it a wash, put it on, and also put on a new plug with new leads. So I've actually got a high and low tone now, and that will just go on the grill. Definitely these pattern parts, I mean, look how flimsy that is. Yeah, I can't wait to get the other one on the car. There's no point putting it on now if I've got to take the engine out later. I might as well just do it all at the same time. So I'll leave that till later on in the year. That's why I'm going to put the headlights on now, because they're going to be a while before I actually, do the engine on this. So yep, let me just get these lights on now. But before I do that, let me just give this a quick clean down, wipe down, and then I can fit those lights back on. Okay, already, without even putting the bumper on, I would say that looks a lot more aggressive. I do actually quite like that. Looking good. So I'm just gonna put the bumper on. I've also got this side to fit quite nicely. I'm gonna see if I can adjust the wing slightly on this side to get it closer, so the gap is not so big on this side. Right, so I've used all original fittings because this had like a screw and Torx and bolt types, and it had all loads of different things, so they're all done. So the front end's all bolted up, the bumper's all done. I've got actually sitting tighter on there and closer on here. Unfortunately the bumper's still out of shape here. There's nothing I can do with that at the moment, but I'll deal with that later. What I am going to do is this grille fits really badly. It's an aftermarket one, as well as it was broken here in the middle. And I think this bit here looks like it's still the original. Is this original? Maybe it's not actually. So I'm going to use the original backing and clip this silver one onto the original backing, and hopefully it'll fit nicer. Okay, so we've come to the end of part one of the wagon racer, or whatever you want to call it, TDI, my daily driver. So, you know, as you can see, the car's behind me, and it's looking actually pretty good on those BBSs. Definitely the gap is way too large. I'm gonna have to change that situation with that gap, but that'll be in the next video. So hopefully by this time next week, you'll have part two of this, which will be changing the whole front subframe and wishbones and anti-roll bar, and also the whole rear beam with the bushes and the anti-roll bar and the rear coilovers and everything on it. So keep watching, be safe, ding-a-ling-a-ling, click on that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm.